And it got to a point where I really didn't even want to look too much during the speech over to that side, because honestly, it was bad energy. No, it was bad energy. You're up there, you've got half the room going totally crazy, wild. They loved everything. They want to do something great for our country.
You know, one of the things, I was thinking about this earlier today, I'm surrounded by ancient objects. My field is antiquity and history and the flow of cultures and civilizations and their rise and fall. And we, in our position, seem to think that America can never fall. We can. We may. And we may be witnessing the beginning of the fall.
You will not replace us!
You will not replace us! You will not replace us!
And that is something that, you know, people have no sense of perspective, and I don't think they understand how high the stakes are for us. And I feel like Cassandra, who is, you know, the mythic character who was cursed by Apollo with the ability to tell the future, but no one would believe her. And I think many of us feel that way.
And you have the other side, even on positive news, really positive news, like that, they were like death. And un-American. Un-American. Somebody said treasonous. I mean, yeah, I guess why not?
Your question about how did we come from fact-based to feelings-based, I think it has been a very deliberate strategy on the part of the right. Rupert Murdoch, Roger Ailes, the Roger Stones of the world. I don't know if you saw that movie. It was brilliant. Get me Roger Stone. To emphasize, you know, the plight of the poor, aggrieved white male.
My idea is simply this. America was built by and for the white Christian people of this nation.
And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And tap into their anger and their non-understanding of the world and their incomprehension at the loss of their position. You know, I mean, people are really struggling. So the question is, why? And you manipulate them and their feelings.
Well, we want to expand white privilege and deepen it, and I mean that in a way seriously. I do care about my people more than I care about other people, just like you would care about your family more than you care about other children.
Yes, hierarchy, which indicates a tiered level of power, is necessary for social order and structure. It's how it's wielded, how it's rewarded, and how it's used.
The president certainly supports religious liberty, and that's something that he talked about during the campaign, has since upheld.
Because not only are we a nation of faith, but we're a nation of tolerance.
Well, this is an enormous defeat for the gay rights movement, because the question now is, what are the limits in terms of religious people when they're allowed to discriminate?
Freedom is not a gift from government. Freedom is a gift from God.
Trump is, his administration, and I say Trump, I mean not just him, but the whole machine that's around him, is exploiting his position and his power to undo decades of work when it comes to civil rights, political rights, the environment, which is one of my causes. I mean, while he's tweeting away and causing enormous controversy, the environment, you know, they're undoing designated protected areas, you know. I mean, it's just, the examples just go on and on.
I am taking historic steps to lift the restrictions on American energy, to reverse government intrusion, and to cancel job-killing regulations.
President Trump made history of the Obama administration's efforts to curb greenhouse gases.
You know, so that's how I see it being used, whereas let's contrast with Obama, where he protected areas and designated, which, of course, maybe you don't believe anything needs protection. In that case, Trump's your man. If you happen to like the world that nature has given us and you want to see it protected and you want some balance between human needs and natural needs, you want to protect it.
And I say it's very strongly the Democrats' fault. They're they're really obstructionist, and they are obstructing. The United States will not be a migrant camp, and it will not be a refugee holding facility. It won't be. You look at what's happening in Europe, you look at what's happening in other places, we can't allow that to happen to the United States, not on my watch.
There are a lot of things that are out of their control, let's say an individual's control. The industry changes, the jobs really have left, companies really have moved their factories.
We've lost our jobs like we're a bunch of babies. They've gone to other countries. They've gone to Mexico. They've gone to many other countries. China's taking massive advantage of us.
Keith Smith says most immigration workers left after the law took effect. So this potato farmer hired Americans. Problem is, he says, most show up late, work slower, and are ready to head home after lunch. Some even quit after just one day out in the field.
I think they're not recognizing the larger structural issues. They're not able, what they see is the hollowing out of the industrial heartland, which is a real phenomenon.
Just like everyone else that voted for him, help our economy out. Hope to do what he promised the nation he'd do about keeping jobs in America safe. Apparently it's not happening as of right now.
But what they're not seeing is why it's happening. That's right, and it wasn't the Mexicans. It was the corporate executives on Wall Street in their pursuit of short-term profits and their desire to enrich their shareholders and their discarding of their labor force as a worthy constituency. They are the ones pursuing every bottom line dollar, and it's Walmart.
The average person living near the poverty line can receive around $130 a month in food stamps. So say you're a single mom with one child and you work for Walmart. You'd be eligible for food stamps if you make less than $20,449 a year. Walmart says the average wage for hourly store associates is $11.83 an hour, but that includes some supervisor positions. Industry analyst research puts the average cashier at about $8.81 an hour.
How do you get it cheap? You pay everyone nothing. So that's why you can't even afford to live. People can't even make enough money for basic sustenance. So what happens? The cost of their living is thrust onto the public sphere.
Good Sunday day to everyone. We just come back from Walmart, so I thought we didn't get a whole lot. But
based on data from one state, Ohio, as many as 15% of Walmart employees use food stamps. That's about 40 employees per store who earn so little they qualify for food stamps. Last year, the U.S. distributed $76 billion in food stamps. Walmart says it takes in 18% of all those food stamp dollars. That's about $13 billion a year.
Okay, here we go. Haley got her 2 of these Skittles Easters because they's marked down 50 cents.
So the Waltons are making money from being able to employ people for too little money, so they have to get food stamps and help paying, help from the government.
So let's say that single mom who cashiers at Walmart also shops there. She earns food stamps from the government, then turns around and spends them at Walmart. So what would it take to push someone like the single mom up to a point where she no longer qualified for food stamps? Let's say she works a typical amount of hours for a retail job. Walmart would have to raise her wage to just above $13.63 an hour. Doing this for all of its employees would cost the company $4.8 billion each year.
Special K flatbread, sausage kind. They are 240 calories, 14 proteins, and they do fill you up. One of these do, trust me.
If Walmart wanted to pass those costs on to the consumer, they'd have to raise their prices by about 1.4%. For example, that means that box of great value mac and cheese would jump from 68 cents to 69 cents. That's 1 penny per box of mac and cheese to save U.S. taxpayers $300 million each year.
I got these marked down. There are Easter hunted eggs, marshmallows. I've never seen these in there. I think they got a hard shell on them and there's marshmallows in the middle. But anyways, they were marked down, so you know they're Easter stuff. They didn't have a whole lot left.
What you're addressing is why would you care to eat healthy, right? It's because you are looking at the science and the information and you're trying to take care of yourself and you know, eat properly. If you discount the experts and you think everyone, those people who do eat that way are elitist snobs, and the people who tell you what is healthy are not to be believed because we're in this sort of anti-science, anti-intellectual moment, which is what's in ascendancy. You know, that's you know, it's sort of like that's the thumbing of the nose at all of that, and I think that comes from this anger that's been channeled by the Rush Limbaughs and Bill O'Reillys and Sean Hannity, and the list goes on.